What I wanted to ask you now, though, is if I'm wearing my agency hat and the media owner is signed up with Luxon, would I be able to ask for access to the dashboard for my particular campaign? Could I have a login to see that myself, or would I have to get that information from the media owner themselves to send me like an extracted report? I want to see this past week before I go into my client status to be able to inform them how our boards or our campaign is performing. Do they have that accessibility, or is it more channeled through the media owner?
At the beginning of this year, we actually started seeing the media agencies and we created their own dashboard. So our clients on their dashboard, all our clients' information is there for them to use. So they can actually select multiple media owners when planning a campaign.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Beyond the Billboard. Today we welcome Phil Evans, who is the co-founder and sales director at Luxon. Phil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Looking forward to the conversation, and lots to talk about. It's been interesting, but looking forward to it.
We are so excited to get into today's episode because today is the third episode in our three-part series on measurement. We were first joined by Trish Guilford from the OMC to discuss Road 2.0. Then we were joined for our second episode by Rafe Usher-Harris from All Unite. And today we're going to be discussing the offering that Luxon bring to market. Measurement is so critical from an out-of-home perspective, and we really feel a responsibility as the only out-of-home podcast in South Africa to bring different measurement options to light through our platform, as well as an opportunity to educate our audience around what options exist, what metrics exist, how do the methodologies differ, how are they similar. It really is important for us to understand some of the different environments are measured in a different way. And, there was a time in our landscape where there was no measurement, and that was the challenge. And at the moment, it feels like there are different options around measurement, which is really critical and important. And it's important that we understand each of those options individually. So that's the purpose of this whole series. The first two episodes have been very well received. I think there is a hunger for knowledge and information specifically around measurement and out-of-home because it is so nuanced. The out-of-home channel on its own is so nuanced. So it would make sense that measurement would also be nuanced. So I'm really looking forward to getting into the meat of the offering that you guys provide from a Luxon perspective. But to kick us into today's episode, I wanted to ask you, can you give us a brief history? Where did Luxon begin and where is it today?
2017, 2018, we actually started having a chat about measuring the luminosity of billboards. So illuminated sites, we drove around quite a bit. We saw the lighting was down during the evenings. And that was the original idea. So we wanted to measure the lux, the light, and hence the name Luxon.
And wow, I didn't know that actually.
Luxon Data Solutions.
I never knew that.
That's where it first actually came from. But engaging with a couple of media owners, the conversation started growing. And then the question came across is, well, if you can do this, can you start counting or giving us some sort of traffic insights of what's going past our holding or our sites? So a lot of conversations happened. We started testing our POC in late 2019. I've actually got photos of some of our crew sitting across a highway during COVID with our first system and our first offering that was out there. And we've got sites that are out there. They're collecting real-time traffic data. And that's where it all began.
I just wanted to double click on something that you've mentioned, that Kirsty and I, we host out-of-home fundamental training that's been exceptionally well received by the industry. And part of that is understanding measurement. And I think what's really important about what you've said is that you guys provide real-time traffic information. It is not fixed, which I think adds a different layer to measurement. And I know we will get into the detail of that in the episode, but thank you for shaping kind of the background and the journey you guys have gone on. And especially to have come up during COVID is also quite an interesting journey from kind of being and having that live data is really interesting because that was so critical at that time. So despite coming to market at probably the worst time for the industry, there's a lot of growth that has come through from that period too.
Yeah, listen, we're a hardware and software development company. And a lot of our clients, existing clients at the moment, said, geez, I wish you guys were actually around during the COVID period, because we could have actually provided some type of information during that stage. So yeah, today, our mission is to provide real-time traffic analytics to the wonderful world and the exciting world of out of home.
Thank you, Liv, for calling out the difference that it's not a fixed measurement, that it is a, performance-based measurement. So that's really fantastic, because what that means is you can plan against what you're looking to achieve. But what it also means is that you can post campaign and you can report on it. And we will touch into the dashboard that Luxon has, which their clients, such as media owners who are signed up for their data, have access to and can provide that data and information to their clients. But what's really amazing is we're able to provide reports on how many people did you reach, and how many times did you reach them, and how long were they there, and what was that dwell time. So we're getting a lot more rich performance-based data, which will help rationalize for further income, for upweights, for more budget to come towards out of home. And that's what we're all looking to do, right, is to increase the portion of the spend pie for the out of home industry. So as data progresses in our market, it has the benefit for the entire industry. What I think it's important for us to, get into the data and the methodology of the data, as well as like what metrics do you use, reach, frequency, do you use VAX? We know that is a metric that's being used by other data partners in the market, and just to unpack that a bit for our listeners and our viewers.
The simplest way to explain our offering is we measuring what's happening in the real world, real-time traffic passing your sites directly, continuously, and in real time. That gets broken up into cars, trucks, bikes, taxis. We got asked to add in pedestrians. If they move past your location, our system captures it. That means the media owner actually gets finally a true, unfiltered picture of what each site is actually genuinely exposed to. And developing the solution, we actually stepped back and asked ourselves, the question which kept on getting asked to us, where do you start with all of this? In our mind's eye is you need to have the correct number of what's actually passing the board first and foremost. No estimates, no assumptions, something that's real and it's measurable exposure. Our system captures exactly what the site itself sees. We wanted to start, our methodology was to start with the correct foundation. And for us, that is exactly what's going past the board first and foremost. From that, you can actually start building up. That's your base. So you can start unpacking patterns, behaviors, peak times, dips, and all the insights that give out of home. It's, you can give it a strategic edge. It's such a powerful platform in the advertising game. And we wanted to bring something that the industry itself can trust and something that's credible. And that's been our philosophy from day one.
Just for our listeners, I think it's important just to, detail how is the data captured. We've had conversations with data partners about Wi-Fi sensors. We've had survey-based layered data. So I think it's important just the differentiation with regards to Luxon. How are you capturing that data? I think is my first question. My second question I need to ask is, when you introduced pedestrians and tracking pedestrians, did you see something quite interesting in the data that came up out of that, from just tracking, cars and different types of vehicles or, buses, cars, etc., to then adding in pedestrians? Did anything interesting come out by adding that layer into your capturing of data?
To answer the first part of the question, we developed something where we put a camera up and it captures everything that's going on. It gets delivered, we extrapolate the data that's been asked from us. It gets pushed into the cloud. We push it out onto our dashboard. So everything's real-time analytics. And the question then came was, can you add pedestrians to your reporting? And then we started seeing some very interesting information. You won't actually believe how many people you can see on a freeway and intersections. The data's always been there. We've just built something that is now gathering that information, so to speak. But once you have that information, you can start digging really into it from a granular level. And the pedestrian thing has, it's been interesting.
And the metrics that you're measuring in, is it reach and frequency? Is there any other metrics that you're using?
What we show on our dashboard is the actual traffic counts. That's broken up into certain categories: cars, bikes, taxis, buses, pedestrians. And I'll dig into it a little bit more now with what else we're going to introduce, because now we have that baseline, or that the correct base to build everything else on.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, I just want to take a step back just to unpack this in my mind properly and for anyone who's not familiar. So basically, there are cameras that are fitted to the frame or the outside of the billboard structure, and that allows the Luxon technology to actually count the cars that are going past a specific point, as well as the people, as well as the type of vehicle, which I think is quite just a critical piece that I want to make sure lands with the audience, that they understand that it's actually a physical kind of, as a Wi-Fi counter would be a physical thing fitted to a frame and structured. Phil, if a media owner listening to this is interested and they think, wow, okay, this sounds like something that would work for my business, do you install a camera onto every single frame that media owner has? Do you install it for a permanent period? How exactly does the install of the hardware on the out-of-home frame work? Would love to just get a bit more detail on that.
We get our clients on board. They give us their inventory. Once we install one of our cameras on a site, it's there permanently. It's collecting information. As soon as it's live, it goes nowhere else. There's no averages. We don't move it anywhere else. It's a permanent structure. So it's collecting everything there and then, and it'll keep on collecting everything there and then for the foreseeable future. We don't have to put up one of our units or one of our cameras on every single site, because we do have geofenced areas. So you've got certain stretches of road where there can be multiple media owners, but the traffic or the traffic data amongst that stretch is never going to change. It's going to be the same for all of those media owners. In terms of intersections, our technology can pick up multiple lanes. So we've got directional traffic flows everywhere. We put lines up that count exactly where those cars are going and which flows or areas they're going into. And that gives us our proper metric for whatever lands within that geofenced area. The information we gather and the way we actually push that information across amongst whoever's on top of our system, they get the right metric according to where their site is, but it all comes from one unit.
And Phil, tell me, from an LSM or audience demographic perspective, do you currently have, or do you have any plans down the line for building in a layer of, I understand that you're able to give us a very accurate real-time traffic count of how many cars and people and the type of cars that are going by. Do you have any audience information that you are overlaying with that, or are there any plans to add in audience information?
We wanted to start with something first, so we're collecting the correct amount of vehicles that are going past sites. And then the one question that kept on coming up was, can you tell me who's driving the car? No, no one can. I understand that media agencies and media owners want to know who's driving the car or what type of demographic, because you need a target audience. So after long nights and lots of discussions, we sat down with our guys and we came up with what we think is the closest solution to it, and that's doing car demographics. So this has been 18 months building this. Our guys have put our own AI engine together to identify nearly 90 million plus images of South African cars from different angles. Yeah. And we are soon going to launch this onto our dashboard. How we're going to give you an SEM or an LSM that's going past your sites is there's an affordability model. So we're dealing with a company at the moment that's going to give us the affordability profiles of South Africans. So you can go and get motor finance for a car. It's going to cost you X amount of money. You need to earn a certain type of money to actually afford that car. With combining those two sets of information together, we can actually give you an estimate or a percentage estimate of the SEM or LSM that is driving past your board. The possibilities get really exciting with the information because you can start actually matching creatives and campaigns to the highest SEM that are going past those sites. And you can
Sure.
plan differently from weekdays versus weekends. We've had sites change during the week. So Monday to Thursday, it'll be this SEM predominantly. And then you'll see on a weekend, it just shoots up. So in the digital space, I think that's such valuable information.
From Sunrise in Josie to lights that never sleep, we are Network X outdoor media specialists. With over 1,000 media platforms across Gauteng, we don't just place ads. We capture audiences right where life happens. From premium digital displays to iconic city views, we turn attention into impact every single day. So join the experience. Network X out of home.
I think it's important to speak around data privacy. And obviously, because you're gathering, car information, you can obviously see registration numbers, you can gather pedestrian information. How is, particularly for any public that listen to our episodes, general public, or just, also just anybody that's listening to our episodes, I think there's going to be a question around data privacy. So how are you handling that as a business?
We're compliant. We deal a lot with certain municipalities and government institutes. So, we fall within the right lines. There's no gray areas with us. What we deliver has to fall within government regulation.
I think it's important just to understand you are focusing very much on roadside. Are you looking to expand into other out-of-home environments?
At the moment, we are literally just focused on roadside data. We have been asked to go into other environments, taxi ranks, malls, that type of thing, which our tech is capable of doing. But we've decided to actually specialize in one field. We just want to specialize in the roadside out-of-home industry for now, and that's what we're delivering.
No, perfect. It just helps our listeners understand, where are you playing and where are you, focusing. And I think it's very clear that you are focusing on the roadside piece. And then I think for a current, lay of the land as it stands now, what is your current inventory that you have onboarded, or number of media owners, or number of panels that you currently have onboarded and that are being measured by Luxon?
I'm happy to say we've got 22 clients on board at the moment. We've got multiple demo accounts open for potential clients. We cover just over 3,000 panels, and we are busy rolling out everywhere we possibly can at the moment. So as we roll out, we'll just cover more.
Congratulations on that. I think coming to market as a new player and also understanding, as we mentioned in the intro, the market is nuanced. There's so many different media owners. There's so many different sites. Each business within that is also set up differently. Each of the environments are different. So it is a mixed bag in a way of what the landscape is made up of. But what excites me about what you've said is that we are moving away from just an estimated duplicated traffic count that comes really from no information at all. And I love that, you guys are rooted in data and technology and are using proper methodology as well as proper technology to empower your clients to actually come to market with a proper figure. Something I really do want to touch on in this episode is your dashboarding. I think that that's really where it all comes to life. And I would love it if you could give some information to us and our audience around what does your dashboarding look like? Who has access to it? What does it cost to get access to the dashboarding? And what are you able to see? If a client has booked a billboard with a media owner that actually has your data, what experience do they have from a dashboarding perspective? How do they see that data come to life?
We want to make traffic data easy to understand and quite dashboard itself effortless to use. On the dashboard itself, you've got your inventory map. It'll show you where your sites are, inventory details, traffic analytics per face, so not per site or billboard, we actually give you a breakdown per face. And that's from the last hour up until your custom date selection. So it's easy to export a report for wherever you want from this date to this date. There's vehicle type breakdown. I know I discussed the SEM thing, that's coming, but for now it's cars, buses, taxis, trucks, bikes, and pedestrians, which are broken down into their own categories, and then there's a total. Exportable reporting, so an easy PDF. What I think is special on the dashboard is campaigns. Everyone wants to do campaigns. You can select multiple of your sites. You can run a campaign from this date to that date. There is a cost per thousand on it as well, so there's your ROI. In terms of pricing, we do have a tiering structure. We've got clients that own a lot of billboards. We've got a few that own one or two. We want to give the information to everyone. So everyone's sort of same playing field, and they've got something to deliver when they want to sell their sites. And generally, it works out to about 1 or 2% of the rate card of the board, if I can put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for quantifying that. I think it's important. I think a lot of the episodes, we've had a lot of feedback around, sometimes somebody listening to this might not want to reach out with just an idea of it. The assumption is often that will be too expensive for me. So thanks for kind of giving an example.
What I wanted to ask you now, though, is if I'm wearing my agency hat and the media owner is signed up with Luxon, would I be able to ask for access to the dashboard for my particular campaign? Could I have a login to see that myself, or would I have to get that information from the media owner themselves to send me like an extracted report? Because I think what's quite nice is that your data is live. And if I wanted to, like just digital media as an example, I go into my account manager and digital media, I'm able to see how my campaign is performing by day. You kind of want that flexibility as an out-of-home specialist, or an ATL planner, or whatever your role might be in an agency, be able to log in and be able to be like, okay, I want to see this past week before I go into my client status, to be able to inform them how our boards or our campaign is performing. Do they have that accessibility, or is it more channeled through the media owner?
Yeah, right in the beginning, it was just a dashboard for media owners. And at the beginning of this year, we actually started seeing the media agencies, and we created their own dashboard. So our clients, on their dashboard, all our clients' information is there for them to use. So they can actually select multiple media owners when planning a campaign. All the information is right there, as long as they're a client of Luxon's, obviously. And what it creates is actually a smooth, transparent workflow between the media owners and agencies and clients. Everyone's looking at the same credible, real-time information. There's no back and forth. The only thing that happens if we do get a new client on board, or if there's a new agency on board, we've created it's just a little tap of a button, basically, and the agency can either send whoever the user is from a media owner side, or a media owner to the media agency side, just the permissions.
I think a lot of people have the assumption, right, that the Luxon technology is only available, or dashboard is only available to the media owners, right? And I think this is a big piece here, particularly for our agency and our client listeners, is that dashboard is accessible, obviously reaching out to Phil and Luxon, being able to get the permissions and the licensing to access the dashboard, but that you have access to that from a planning point of view for obviously the 3,000 panels and whatever else they start building on, that you have access to that from a planning point of view, which I think is really, really phenomenal. But what I wanted to also ask you now is, a lot of these methodologies and data providers have a differentiation between static and digital out of home. So I wanted to just clarify, if I was an agency person and I was in the tool, or a media owner, and I'm wanting to look at how this might differ, do you have different traffic by the hour? So if I was only going to be a brand that wants to advertise in the mornings, say I wanted to do breakfast and I wanted to push coffee, or wanted to push breakfast meals, or whatever it might be, and I wanted to do that day part targeting on digital out of home, but I don't want to obviously see the traffic counts for that full day, because that's not when I'm running on that screen. I want to only look at those time brackets. Am I able to filter that into the dashboard, or able to get that type of, narrowed down or filtered down data from the media owner?
With what we're providing at the moment and what we're digging into, we want to actually provide you with a real traffic number per slot. So if someone's advertising on a digital billboard, we can actually integrate the two systems together. We are having conversations with a few people about this, where you'll get a report on what happened during your slots over whatever time period. At these times, I'll be able to tell you this is the amount of traffic that went past, or this is the exposure that went past.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's so important, because you're not in a 3-minute loop. You're not running for the full 3 minutes, right? You're a 15-second. All the loops are different, but it just standard. It's usually an 8% share of voice that a client is purchasing, which is, a 15-second in a 3-minute loop. And I think it's important that we're looking at data and we're reporting that back to clients. We're reporting based on how much exposure that they've had during that time. And it's good that your data can go to that granularity, right? Then I also love that you've called out that if you can start tracking, right, certain SEMs during certain times of day, you can start getting more informed in your digital out of home approach. Where do you upweight, right? You want to upweight during a certain time of the day because you want to reach that audience specifically, or you know that audience is more likely to be driving past at that time. So I think that's really, really awesome, because it's now data informed out of home strategy and approaches, right? And that's ultimately where we should be and where we should be playing, and where our agencies and clients are holding us accountable to deliver on.
What's been really fascinating for me was just also understanding kind of what the media owners are getting on their side of the fence from your guys' platform, as well as what the agencies are getting, and how those two pieces are obviously very complementary, but it's very important that there is a clear definition. And I think that the planning side of it from an agency perspective, I think there are a lot of benefits from that. What you guys have been speaking about now, about actually drilling down into that SEM by time. I'm just sitting here thinking, a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have been having a discussion around that when there wasn't so many digital sites or so much technology available. And I'm just loving where the industry is going. And again, using data and technology at the root of everything that you're doing, I think is really the way to push the business and the industry forward. So I'm very excited about the possibilities that come down the line, as well as the current, what's currently happening is also very exciting in the industry. So I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today to share your knowledge with us. I'm sure that our audience would have got a better understanding of exactly what Luxon have got to offer. And it's been great to just get that deeper understanding. The dashboarding sounds fantastic. And yeah, I really want to thank you for joining us for today's episode.
No, thank you. Thanks for the information and everything you bring to the industry. I think what you ladies are doing is phenomenal. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us today to go beyond the billboard. Subscribe to our podcast to ensure you don't miss out on our exciting content.
Join us again to go beyond the billboard.
1, 2